I'm going to introduce Tony Gaspar, who is a member of the Airport Commission, to perform the next part of this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here. On behalf of the City of Paso Robles and the Australia Warbirds Museum, I'd like to welcome you to this very special celebration of Mayor Martin. Mayor Martin was a huge supporter of our local aviation community and the Paso Robles Airport. We would like to honor the mayor in a way that we as pilots know best. Please cast your eyes to the northeastern skies for our missing man formation. Eagle 2, break away. Mayor Martin, we salute you. Godspeed, sir.
Thank you, Tony. The planes fly in a formation with an empty space where one plane should be, symbolizing Mayor Martin's absence within the group. Thank you very much for the Australia Warbirds for participating today. Next, I'd like to welcome up Reverend Josh Zulueta from the First United Methodist Church of Paso Robles for our opening prayer. Pastor.
Friends, I invite you now to join with me in a spirit of prayer, of meditation, of reflection, as we recognize the spirit that brings us together and unites us this afternoon. Let us pray. Loving and beloved Creator, from every blade of grass beneath our feet to the fires of the farthest star above, the whole cosmos rings with your gracious gift of life. We gather here together this evening in remembrance of a part of that life, to celebrate the life of and to mourn the loss of Steve Martin, a friend, a husband, a father, an exemplar of faith, a leader, and so much more. Truly, to have known him and to have shared life with him was a blessing to us all, for which we give you thanks, blessed author of life. Throughout his life, Steve was a faithful steward of your love and care. Among many other areas in his works, his family, his faith, and especially his music, he served to inspire us, encourage us, and empower us to know your loving presence as the source of all goodness and grace. We thank you, beloved Creator, that though Steve has finished his work in this life, you have welcomed him into the eternal glory of the next. Our hearts break at the loss of Steve's presence here with us in this life. We wonder how we may press on in the absence of one who we loved and relied on. By your eternal spirit that connects all things here and beyond, help us to know in our heart of hearts that though Steve may be gone from our sight, he is still with us. That in passing on from this life to the next, he joins in with the great community of all that have gone on before us, and in their work of holding us in prayer, that they might encourage and uplift us even still. We pray, beloved Creator, that you would bless this time we share with peace, comfort, and care, that even in the midst of our grief, we might give joyous thanks to you for the wonderful life of our friend Steve. In the name of the one who gives all life, the one who redeems all life, and the one who sustains all life, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Zuela. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Hammond, Mayor, City of Paso Robles. I'd like to begin my remarks by expressing on behalf of everyone here to the wife of Steve and her daughters, Jennifer and Jamie and Nora, and their extended Martin family, our deepest sympathy for the loss of your cherished loved one. Steve Martin, my old friend, there will never be another one of you. From my point of view, the essence of Steve Martin's life, both public and private, was a dedicated service to others. When I think about the gift of time we are all given here on earth, and for the endless things that we could do with that time, I can't imagine a more noble or selfless act in making one's life worthwhile as helping others. Steve chose that life of service. Beyond being a good friend and colleague, he was a respected leader that showed great integrity and decision-making, honest, and having strong moral principles. He exhibited self-confidence in himself and had trust in his abilities, qualities, and judgment to do the right thing. His personal humility gave him a modest view of his own importance to so many other citizens who trusted and elevated him to the mayor's position. He had a formidable passion for the work council does in striving to be the best outcome of a particular issue for all concerned, and displayed empathy and understanding for those less fortunate Roblins that needed our additional help and support in their lives. He was a strong communicator and was curious about things he did not know or understand. He would do his homework on items and be able to make the best informed decisions. There are many traits a good leader would have, and Steve Martin had them. And I think most importantly, Steve was a visionary and believer of what Paso Robles could be in the future. Among the many ideas, spaceport, gateway to the stars, was a profound vision and one that we will achieve. I witnessed countless times where Mayor Martin responded with great pride and satisfaction when our Paso Robles citizens were recognized for their accomplishments. I will always remember the moment that included my wife and I. It was where Steve's quick wit and humor, displayed on the spur of the moment, appeared so well when he was invited to present the city's proclamation for our Roblin of the Year in 2015. With great perfection, and delivered a rendition of parody of the Wizard of Oz scene, The Lollipop Guild. He used the same unforgettable and unmistakable voice we hear the tough Munchkin kids use when they gave their proclamation gift to Dorothy. It was an exhibition of satire perfectly delivered that we will never forget. It was that kind of talent that was so rarely found today. And this was Steve Martin, one of a kind. As sworn officials, part of our oath of office includes a statement that I know Steve felt very strongly about. And that is the promise that we shall leave the city in a better condition than it was when it was first entrusted to us. I believe Steve's oath, with his many years of dedicated service to our city, was truly accomplished. Along with everyone here today, we celebrate Mayor Steve Martin's life commitment to the city of Paso Robles. My faith tells me that our life in this world is only temporary and will not last forever. In the first book of the Bible, Peter chapter 5, verse 10, he wrote, "And after you have suffered a little, God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you in eternity." May Steve Martin rest in peace in the knowledge of a life well lived and a job well done. And I look forward to seeing him again in a place and time without end. Amen. And if I get this right again. Okay. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Jim Hyland. Mayor Martin's friend and musical collaborator will now perform a song that Steve wrote, and the title is Story Is. Jim?
Story is, we've been fooling each other, saying there was another standing nearby. Story is, there's a book to discover, hiding under the covers of our life. People say that we're lonely. People say that we're sad. People say we're the best thing either one ever had. Even though we don't listen to what they say. Story is, we'll hear the news one day. Story is, we're in love with each other. Just takes time to discover what the story is. People say that we're lonely. People say that we're sad. People say we're the best thing either one ever had. Even though we don't listen to what they say. Story is, we'll hear the news one day. Story is, we're in love with each other. There was never another since day one. Story is, it's time we discover you and I should be lovers from now on.
Thank you, Jim. Beyond making policy, a key partner in a mayor's life is his city staff. And for city administration remark, please welcome Paso Robles City Manager Ty Lewis.
It's wonderful seeing everybody here today. What a great turnout. Thank you. I want to thank you all for being here today to honor and remember a remarkable leader who served our community with unwavering dedication and profound compassion, our beloved former mayor, Steve Martin. We gather here not just to mourn the loss of a great individual, but to celebrate a life lived with purpose, a life that built a lasting legacy in the heart of Paso Robles. Mayor Steve Martin's contributions to our city are indeed numerous, but today we emphasize his enduring dedication to the men and women who filled City Hall and his relentless support for our first responders. He knew that the lasting legacy of a leader is built not just through policies and initiatives, but through a deep and lasting impacts made on the lives of individuals and the community at large. The importance of building a legacy lies in its enduring ability to shape the future. Mayor Martin didn't just leave us with a tangible improvement or two or advancements. He left us with a spirit of unity, a blueprint of mutual respect and collaboration between the community, city staff, and our first responders who work tirelessly to safeguard our well-being. His vision and his actions have sown seeds of growth and development that will continue to bear fruit for generations to come. Mayor Martin invested in the foundations of our community, fortifying the bonds of trust and cooperation between our residents and the men and women in uniform. He was the architect of policies that promoted transparency, communication, and mutual respect. His belief in collective effort and shared responsibility has shaped a thriving and harmonious Paso Robles, and this camaraderie is what will be in his enduring legacy. Under his thoughtful leadership, he championed the enhancement and modernization of our emergency services, ensuring their access to the necessary tools, technology, and training. But his legacy goes beyond those material contributions. It is woven into the fabric of our communal spirit, in the strengthened resolve and elevated morale of City Hall staff, as well as our public safety officials, and in the sense of security and unity felt by every citizen of Paso Robles. Mayor Martin's focus on the well-being and professional advancement of our city staff demonstrated his deep acknowledgement of the significance of human capital in building a resilient community. His initiatives to promote mental health, continuous learning, and career development will continue to nurture and elevate future generations of public servants, echoing his values and visions in the corridors of our civic institution for years to come. Mayor Martin wasn't just a public figure. He was a beacon of hope, a symbol of resilience, and a repository of love and respect for the people of Paso Robles. His every effort, his every endeavor was a step toward creating a community where everyone felt seen, heard, and valued. His genuine love for the community and his vision for a united Paso Robles are the cornerstones of his legacy, which we are all entrusted to uphold and to perpetuate. As we remember and honor Mayor Steve Martin today, let us recommit ourselves to his mission of unity, service, and mutual respect. Let his legacy inspire us to forge stronger bonds, to pursue shared goals, and to cultivate a community that embodies his ideals of harmony, compassion, and prosperity. In closing, our hearts feel the weight of his loss, of our loss, of his family's loss, but they are also filled with profound gratitude and boundless respect for a leader who has eternally shaped our city. Mayor Steve Martin's legacy is not just etched in the stones of our institutions, it is alive in our collective spirits, in the enduring bonds between us, and in the flourishing community that is Paso Robles. May we all strive to honor his memory by embracing his values and working together to realize his dream of a united, prosperous, and loving community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. And now some reflections from the San Luis Obispo County Supervisor, our first district, Mr. John Pashon.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm John Pashon, First District Supervisor and also currently Chairman of the Board of Supervisors here in San Luis Obispo County. For many of you probably remember that Steve and I ran against each other for this office. And in talking to Dee Lacey, she thought it might be good if we talked about how we actually came together. So we had 12 debates. We learned a lot about each other during that campaign of those 12 debates. Those debates were everywhere from Shandon to Templeton to San Miguel out to Lake Nacimiento. And we got to learn a lot about each other. On the debate that we had, we actually discussed out in Shandon. The mayor said that he was married in Shandon, and I'm sure he thought I was not telling the truth, but I said, so was I. And so from that simple statement, we started to bond. We started to talk about the things that we were for, not the things that we were against, the things that we believed in, the things that we wanted to get accomplished. He had a statement, and I learned a lot from him, but he had a statement that said, we can disagree on issues. We just don't need to be disagreeable. And to me, that drives home who Steve Martin was and the things that he believed in. And he also believed in making a difference in people's lives and building a coalition around issues that brought people together. I'm sure this is something that he and his best friend, Mayor Tom O'Malley, talked about all the time, because that's the way that they governed. That's the way they made a difference. And he had been obviously elected a very, very long time. I had not. I had just been elected, and Council Member Steve Gregory, myself, and Mayor Martin had breakfast every month. Usually here in Paso Robles, where we would sit down and we would talk about how we could work together on things together. And out of that actually came something that I wanted to read to you. And I see a lot of you that are elected currently or formerly elected, but we came together and we built with the 7 mayors and the county a code of civility. And I actually just I took the copy off the wall down there at the county building, and I brought it up here, and I'm going to return it, because if I don't, you know, Don Ortiz-Legg may just beat me up next week if she doesn't follow it. So, but this is the code of civility, and it's signed by the 7 mayors and myself as the chairman of the Board of Supervisors over 7 years ago. And what I thought I would do is just read some of these, because these, if you listen to this, you can hear Mayor Martin talking about these, about how we communicate, how we relate to each other, and how we work together to build a better community, a better Paso, a better Templeton, you know, a better San Miguel, a better Shandon or Lake Nacimiento in the 1st district, or all the districts. So the first one is listen first. We will make an honest effort to understand views and reasoning of others by listening to understand, not listening to find fault, allowing thoughtful discussion to lead to the best possible outcomes. Respect different opinions. We will invite and consider different perspectives, allowing space for ideas to be expressed, opposed, and clarified in a constructive manner. Be courteous. We will treat all colleagues, staff, and members of the public in a professional and courteous manner, whether in person, online, or in written communication, especially when we disagree. Disagree constructively. We will strive to advance solutions to community issues. When faced with disagreement, we do more than simply share our concerns with differing positions. We will work to propose a course of action of mutual benefit. And finally, debate the policy, not the person. And I can see Steve saying this one. We will focus on the issues and not personalize debate or use other tactics that divert attention from the issue. This is what Steve Martin stood for. These are the things that Steve Martin brought to the county, brought to the cities, the 7 cities, and it communicates, and you can tell he was a communicator. You can tell that, you know, and a lot of times in our discussions in the morning, we would actually talk about football. You know, he loved Bearcat football, as you all know. Now, you all also know that my son plays for the Templeton Eagle football team. So we've only played, the Bearcats and the Eagles have only played twice in the last 100 years. 100 years ago, they beat the Templeton Eagles, Bearcats did, which was definitely a bone of contention for me, but was an area of pride for Mayor Martin. We played during the COVID year. We also, Templeton lost that one too. So he has bragging rights at 2-0. But I'll tell you this, that he loved this community. He wanted the best for this community. And you can tell by what he did and the work he did on the Code of Civility, you can tell how he made a difference in people's lives, not just elected officials, but people that live here. And he really did fight for those people in this community and fight for those ordinary people that have extraordinary accomplishments. And thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I will continue to pray. As a Christian, I will continue to pray for the family. I did want to add in that he was very, very proud of his daughters. And I believe one of them went to Chapman University, which is the alma mater of my wife. And so we had a lot of discussions, but he would talk about them a lot. And he really did put family first, his faith first, and this community first. Thank you.
Thank you, John. As you've heard, Mayor Martin shared a new and special idea for Paso Robles Airport, a spaceport, and also working in cooperation with Cal Poly. Next, we have Mr. Bill Britton, Cal Poly's Vice President of Information Technology, who will further explain Steve's vision. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Britton.
Off record, did anybody ever talk to Mayor Martin about spaceport? Did you have the same problem I did? Is that he stopped looking at you and looked up in the sky like he was right there next to the satellite? Absolutely enthralled. Loved the idea. Mayor Hammond, City Council members, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow citizens of Paso Robles, and family of Mayor Steve Martin. I'm here representing Cal Poly. President Armstrong is unfortunately detained and can't make it tonight, so I get to represent that wonderful institution. A few of you may have graduated from there. Those who didn't, so well. I'm also representing the Paso Robles Airport Commission, as I am a commissioner on that. I'm also a member of the Paso Robles community, my family. My son is a graduate of Paso Robles High, and my grandson attends Paso Robles High School. I'm here to honor Mayor Martin by sharing with you the exciting and visionary idea that captured his imagination, the Paso Robles Spaceport. In the next few minutes, I will shed light on the Mayor Martin's profound desire for this project, the potential benefits it holds for our community, and why we should wholeheartedly support this vision. First and foremost, let me emphasize that his dream of a spaceport in Paso Robles is not simply an idle wish. It is a visionary endeavor that has the potential to transform our city in a positive and remarkable way. But why a spaceport, you might ask? Steve's favorite response was, why not? For starters, a Paso Robles spaceport would not only symbolize our commitment to progress, but also offer substantial economic benefits. It would create a wealth of new job opportunities, from engineers to technicians, administrative staff, and maintenance crews. These head of household jobs would not only benefit our current residents, but also attract talent from across the country, ultimately leading to a more vibrant and diverse local economy and community. Cal Poly President Jeff Armstrong, and if you know Jeff, he's very similar to the mayor. A good idea has him doing cartwheels. Heath was so impressed by the effort, he signed a letter of commitment to support Paso Robles. This partnership bolsters our reputation as a forward-thinking community and attracting entrepreneurs and investors to seek part in the next big thing. But the benefits of a spaceport are not just in the area of financial gain. Modern space travel is exploring greener, more efficient technologies. By participating in this industry development, Paso Robles can contribute to the advancement of environmentally responsible aerospace technologies, setting an example for others to follow. This means that our spaceport, our airport, will prioritize safety, environmental stewardship, and ethical considerations of every aspect in its operations. Now, I understand that such a project raises concerns about the environment, safety, potential costs involved. Mayor Martin recognized this and committed to a rigorous assessment of the project feasibility. In concert with Cal Poly students and professors, a myriad of engineering firms, the city staff, environmental impact studies, safety measures, and cost-benefit analysis, we will be conducting to ensure that the endeavor aligns with our values and priorities. In conclusion, Mayor Steve Martin's desire for a Paso Robles spaceport is more than just a dream. It's a vision for the future of our community. It's about job creation. It's about economic growth, educational opportunities for our STEM students so that they can come back to Paso and live with employment opportunities. It's about positioning Paso Robles as a leader in the aerospace industry, fostering innovation and inspiring that next generation. As Mayor Martin used to remind us, Paso Robles was founded by a pioneer spirit. That pioneer spirit transcends now into space. We had weekly review sessions with the mayor so that we could, quote, keep up to speed with what he wanted to have done. In one of those meetings, he came in and he goes, I've got it. We can be space cowboys. Thank you, Mayor Martin, for your bold vision and for the concept of the Paso Robles spaceport. Thank you.
It's very true, Bill. We are cowboys on this side of the grade. Thank you. Mayor Martin was focused on the well-being of all residents of Paso Robles, including those less fortunate. I'd like to invite Wendy Lewis, CEO of ECHO, to speak about the impact on their efforts to support our Roblins.
So it is such an honor to be here and looking out on this incredible and caring crowd. We've heard legacy quite a bit today, and Mayor Martin's legacy is now woven into the first homeless services, sheltering people in Paso Robles. He has had that passion for the underserved population for a long time, and I found out things that I didn't know when I was asked to do this. I knew he served on the board of ECHO in Atascadero, and he supported that mission and bringing on those services. I had heard rumors that he spent the night at the shelter with Mayor O'Malley many, many times when board members were part of keeping the shelter running. I can imagine those conversations were quite lively and probably entertaining to the people that they were helping. But his legacy now is also offering right now a safe place for the men, women, and children of Paso Robles who needs the services we provide. Picture right now, kids playing on a playground that our wonderful Rotarians help us build, getting a nutritious meal, ready to come into a room and have a safe, warm place to be. That is Mayor Martin's legacy. Reflecting on my time with him and some great conversations, I remember one pivotal meeting, and it was an interesting discussion because homelessness, it's an interesting topic. And he was the fabric that brought people together. His collaborative spirit changed some viewpoints and got a consensus. And that was a pivotal moment. Had Mayor Martin not been around that table, we would not be operating a homeless service organization in the city of Paso Robles. So it just was an honor to have been able to serve with him. And really, he is one of the biggest factors that now people in your city are getting the services they need because he believed everyone deserved that dignity and that opportunity. So forever grateful for Mayor Martin and for now those services to help way into the future. So thank you for having me.
Now I'd like to take a minute that I would like to do something Steve Martin always would do, and that is to acknowledge the other elected officials in the area, notable attendees, past electeds. So if you can, everyone who's been elected and fits that, please stand for recognition in honor of Steve. Thank you for coming. Past Mayor Frank Meacham also sent me an email today saying that he regrets not be able to be here, but he also wrote, Steve was a great mayor and a trusted colleague and a wonderful friend. He said, if you have the opportunity to read the poem by Rudyard Kipling called If, I believe it is a message from the man upstairs to every person born. If you read it closely, you can clearly hear that Steve met every one of the ifs. And I'll read the last passage in that poem. If you can walk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common torch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distant run, yours is the earth and everyone in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Rudyard Kipling. Now I'd like to bring up Mayor Martin's lifelong friend and closest friend, former mayor from Atascadero, Mr. Tom O'Malley.
Well, some of Steve's last words to me were, Tom, you have stories to tell. One of the last things Jennifer said to me, short stories. A band of friends. Several lifetime friendships began during our years together in Atascadero's elementary school and high school bands. Not only did we experience a few trips to Disneyland, we also performed at many regional competitions, often bringing home blue ribbon medals. In those days, we were not as likely to win a football game. However, we had the best concert and marching bands in the county. One memorable football halftime show was in 1966. We practiced for months, and when we marched in formation, rolling out a full field display of the American flag onto that field, we received a standing ovation while the announcer said, "These kids have put Atascadero on the map." Nope, not a Bearcat Greyhound football game. This was a New York Giants versus LA Rams halftime show on national TV. Our flag portrayal by a Atascadero High School marching band was the first of its kind ever seen on TV, but often copied after that. We didn't notice the standing ovation or hear the announcer. We couldn't even hear our own drum major's directions. We were entirely dependent on the memory of our parts from months of practice, day and night. We did see our whole town come out to welcome us home. Being an upperclassman, soon to graduate, I missed Steve's next life-challenging experience with a band of friends. That story will be told by another of Steve's lifelong friends, Jerry Seabach. Steve and I took separate paths in separate cities for years until we rediscovered each other in the 90s. Though we did share some common experiences, like each of us being president of Kiwanis, each in our own cities. Dos Alcaldes. I became more involved in my hometown as I neared retirement, about when Steve took the job as Atascadero Main Street's executive director. We were inseparable ever since. We were natural event organizers. For several years, Steve and I assisted my daughter Maggie's creation of a 3-day swing dance event during Colony Days. Later, we would help Steve get some secret swing dance lessons in time to dance with his daughter at her wedding, who was also a swing dance enthusiast. One year, my daughter Mary and I performed for the Dancing with Our Stars annual fundraiser. She was great. However, I was not invited back. Steve, on the other hand, became their master of ceremonies and a performer for many years until after the event fulfilled its purpose, the opening of Atascadero's new library. Steve was again ready to run for city council and mayor in his city of Paso Robles, starting his second time as mayor and the beginning of Dos Alcaldes, the two mayors. We began meeting several times a week, often celebrating the most recent accomplishments of our kids. How many more Emmys can Jamie Martin receive? What will Nora Martin's next project be with her master's in community regional planning working for a big city? We served together, literally, dinner at Echo Homeless Shelter, then reading stories to the children staying, and staying the night ourselves as chaperones ready to help with breakfast the next day. Months later, a woman recognized me while shopping downtown and said she had stayed at the shelter with her daughter. She was impressed and encouraged by all the community volunteer support, including 2 mayors. She had since found a job and an apartment and would always be thankful for the help she had received. Later, when Steve saw the opportunity to expand Echo into Paso Robles, it became one of his top priorities. During another one of our get-togethers, this time in the O'Malley living room, and after my wife Peggy had listened to us solving various world and local problems, she observed, "You two are dot connectors." Quick explanation, some folks see stars in the night sky. We see constellations. A good example, one day Steve shared how he had just heard a Cal Poly professor talk about horizontal launches into space. Interesting stuff to a couple of Trekkies. Now, Steve grew up in a time when people thought tourism in Paso Robles, cut down all the walnut trees to grow grapes. During several more meetings, Steve would share about talking with various business interests, property owners, other electeds, and city staff until dots were being connected and a plan came together for a Paso Robles spaceport that could greatly benefit Paso Robles and our entire county. Steve also kept the 2 mayors connected, now with its newest member, Heather Moreno. Recently, they worked together to expand broadband internet access in our North County communities. Farewells. A day came when I learned that Peggy had cancer. I believed she might only have months to live, and I was a basket case. The first person I called was Steve. His first words were, "My calendar is clear. I'm a phone call away. How can I help?" We struggled together through the next year through misdiagnoses, painful medical treatment, and finally some resolution. Peggy had an inoperable tumor, but chemo began working and we had a miraculous reprieve. We're all feeling some relief until I received a similar call from Steve. He had cancer. My first words were, "I'm a phone call away. How can I help?" The Martins were told by their doctors that treatment could succeed. Our families had hoped that, like Peggy, treatment would occur. As Steve's health declined, treatment was not an option. Hospice would focus on rest, reducing pain, and finding peace. We had always talked about politics and religion, and yet still always remained friends. Politics had little importance now. Steve's concern was for Jennifer, truly his best friend and greatly loved wife. Like any good husband, he wished they could have had more time to prepare. Most of all, he wanted more time with her. We shared many Christian Bible verses during those last months, including about laying up treasures in heaven, not in this world. People, not things, are going to heaven, and Steve had spent a lifetime investing in people. And a lifetime of friendships came from all over the country, family and friends from church, from community, coming together to be there and help as needed, as long as needed. Jennifer has a wealth of family and friends. Her needs will be met until they meet again. C.S. Lewis was one of Steve's and my favorite authors. Peggy shared a C.S. Lewis quote from his book, A Grief Observed, a book he had written after his wife died from cancer. C.S. Lewis said that it isn't just that his friend died, it's that the part of him that only his friend could bring out would never be brought out again. I would add, until we meet again, my friend. I now invite Jerry Seebach to continue that story of a band of friends and a few more stories. Jerry.
Thank you, Tom. And I'm proud to be here with all of you. Now, Steve Martin and I became close friends when my family moved to Atascadero in 1964. We were in 8th grade. At Atascadero High School, we had many classes together and played in the marching band, along with many other friends, future Mayor O'Malley for one. We graduated in 1969. Steve was our class co-valedictorian. In college, we wanted to continue playing music together, but we wanted to be rock stars. We formed combos, including other close friends, Tim and Darren Alvord, Larry Baer, Ken Reif, and Andy Harrington. Steve was the critical pinch hitter in all of our combos. At times he played guitar, bass, clarinet, or saxophone. He sang harmony and occasionally lead vocal. He wrote some arrangements and composed some songs. Later, Steve wrote plays that were performed in San Luis Obispo and a couple of novels published under the name S.W. Martin. He was a remarkable musician, writer, and journalist. Now, in 1970, one of our combos played full-time at a summer resort in northern Wisconsin. Steve met the love of his life, Jennifer, who was working at the same resort. After graduating from the University of Wisconsin, Jennifer moved to Nebraska to serve as a VISTA volunteer. 1 year later, she joined Steve in California and they were married. They were together for over 50 years. Sorry. Steve and I frequently played pinochle against Jennifer and my wife, Diane. Always fun for us all, even if the women beat us way too often. Now, most of you know that both Steve and I became local elected officials. Steve was a council member and mayor of Paso Robles, while I was the county auditor controller and now the treasurer of the city of Atascadero. But it's undeniable that the city of Paso Robles benefited greatly from Steve's leadership and determination. But to me, Steve Martin was much more than a great mayor. He was a devoted family man that dearly loved his wife, children, and their grandchildren. He was a great friend to me and countless others. I always admired his integrity and his courage up until the end of his battle with serious illness. It is my honor to speak to you about Steve. I will truly miss him.
Almost forgot I'm supposed to bring up the next speaker. Later, I'll be reading a letter from Steve once again, and Jennifer had the opportunity to also write something for Steve, and also had the opportunity to review it with Steve, and I know it meant a lot to him. Jennifer, you'd come up and tell us about that. Mayor Martin's wife, Jennifer Martin, will be joined by her two daughters, Nora and Jamie, and another person, a secret person. What's your name? Terry, of course. the that third.
Yeah, the third one. The other one. Yes. This is our oldest, Nora, our youngest, Jamie, and what Steve refers to as a spiritual daughter, Carrie, good friend. Okay. Wow. A lot of people out here. Thank you all for coming to celebrate Steve's life, and we're forever thankful for all the support during his last days. I recently came across a quote from John Bon Jovi that said, "Map out your future, but do it in pencil." The last time I was in this gazebo was in early December of 2022. We were here to celebrate the Christmas lighting of the trees. It was a beautiful event, a real Bedford Falls, it's a wonderful life moment. And I remember saying to Steve, "Isn't it wonderful that you get to be the mayor of this great town?" And he agreed. We assumed we'd be back the following Christmas. Had you told us at that moment that it would be one of the last times he would be able to attend a public event in Paso Robles in person, had you told us that 9 months later he would be gone and I, his wife, who has forever avoided public speaking like the plague, would be the one speaking into the crowd, neither of us would have believed it. At the request of several friends, I'm going to try reading something that I wrote during Steve's last stay at Stanford. We had finally been told that there was no longer room for an optimistic prognosis. The cancer had spread and he was too weak to survive the treatment. It was suggested that we contact hospice. As he slept in his hospital bed, I felt compelled to write the following. When he awoke, he asked to read it, just as he did several more times before his last day. It meant a lot to him, and I'm so glad I wrote it. Please bear with me. And if I can't make it all the way through, our daughter Jamie's agreed to finish it for me. My tribute to Steve. How can so many people think I'm strong? I find that I'm a mushy puddle of tears these days. So many buttons to push me over the edge. Good memories, bad memories, thoughts of the future we assumed we'd have together instead of apart. Dr. Ellison described us as a couple, as two wisteria vines that have grown together. How could our intertwined branches now take such different paths? We always knew, but never really faced the fact that one or the other of us would eventually have to leave the other behind. But hopefully not so soon. Steve promised that I could go first. He didn't want me to be left behind grieving. Unlike other promises, this appears to be one he won't be able to keep. We have promised each other for years that someday we would meet on the other side of the moon, and we'll keep that promise. He will leave behind a huge hole in my life, our children's and grandchildren's lives, those of his birth family and his friends and community. I think of this in all the songs and books never written, the community projects left with no one to inspire them or even imagine them. If I had to imagine his final quote, it would probably be, "Too bad, there were so many things left to learn." He is a Renaissance man, husband, father, grandfather, brother, friend, Christian servant, playwright, actor, musician, composer, artist, reporter, editor, author, public servant, computer program, and radiophile. He dearly loved radio and started his own radio stations. He truly is indeed the voice of Paso. Thank you.
As many of you may know, Steve Martin, of course, saw where his life was going and wrote a letter to the community. I was honored to read it to the Paso Robles City Council meeting August 15th. After that, we actually used that as an outline for this program tonight. We've tried to add to some of the stories that Steve touched on, and you'll notice that as we go through it again, as I've been asked to read it in its entirety one more time. Again, written by Mayor Steve Martin, last update July 16th, 2023. Paso Robles Council, Commissioners, City Staff, Friends in the Chamber of Commerce, Paso Robles Main Street, Paso Robles Wine Country Alliance, Hispanic Business Association, political colleagues, friends, and supporters, people of Paso Robles. I've asked Tom O'Malley, a longtime friend and former mayor of Atascadero, to deliver this message. We worked together for 10 years when I served as executive director of Main Street in Atascadero, then teamed up as Dos Alcaldes, 2 mayors, to create a strong partnership between our cities, a partnership that continues to flourish with the support of current Atascadero Mayor Heather Moreno. For months, you have noticed my absence at meetings and public functions. As I prepared to resume the position of mayor for a 3rd consecutive term, I learned that I had an aggressive form of cancer. Initial analysis indicated that surgery within a couple of months would probably cure me. Unfortunately, complications intervened, giving the cancer the opportunity to spread and become incurable. As I write this, I expect to have little time left in this world. I wish for everyone to know that I had no idea of what was happening in my body as I campaigned for office. If that was the case, I would have never run or would have dropped out of the race. I have made every effort to do my job as mayor while fighting this disease, attending meetings virtually, receiving updates from staff, etc. What I have included in this note will fall far short of all I wish to say to you. I am a man of 2 cities, having grown up in Atascadero and lived my adult life in Paso Robles. I'm a man of simple purpose, however, and that is to serve my North County community and treat everyone, supporter and detractor alike, with dignity, compassion, and respect. I trust I have succeeded most of the time. To those who feel I have failed, I ask your forgiveness. To those who now feel they may have wronged me, I offer my forgiveness. I face the future with regrets about all I leave unfinished: spaceport, solutions for homelessness, serving as a board member for the League of California Cities, Community Hospital Board, broadband access. And all the projects with our city's partners, committees, and community service organizations. I also face the future with wonderful memories of family, friends, and colleagues. I feel honored to have worked with such caring and competent council members and such talented and dedicated staff. I am also humbled and thankful for the outpouring of support from so many who have wished me well, most not knowing the challenges I faced. Thank you all for your love and caring. As a Christian, I move toward the rest of God's plan for me, even as I wave goodbye to everyone and everything He has provided during my lifetime, including my wonderful, loving wife, Jennifer, my beautiful, talented, and accomplished daughters, Nora, Jamie, and spiritual daughter, Carrie. My sons-in-law, Todd and Paul, my grandchildren, Abigail, Stephen, Malcolm, Caleb, my parents and my brother and sisters, and my solid family of lifelong friends. I love you all and hope to see you all again one fine day. I thank Tom O'Malley for helping me share these thoughts. Serving as mayors at the same time was a luxury and a privilege. We're always good therapists for each other as we work to make our cities even more beautiful and desirable places to live, work, and play, sharing a glass of Chardonnay along the way. Now, as always, I hold all of you and our community in my heart, urging you to let your differences be subordinate to your desire to care for one another. Remember to stay informed, stay involved, and stay strong, Paso Robles. God bless you all and farewell. Steve Martin, Mayor, City of Paso Robles. For those of you who would like to share memories of Mayor Martin with his family, there are memory cards being distributed. Please return them to our volunteers or place them in baskets here at the gazebo. As a conclusion to our celebration of life, Jim Highland will perform another song, Wrong Side of the Rockies, written by Mayor Martin.
Here I am on the wrong side of the Rockies. Here you are on the wrong side over there. Waiting for a letter saying that I care. Are you there? Miles apart, eastern fields seem greener. I can hear your voice in my mind. Holding the phone close to my ear, I am here. So we wait, wrong side of the Rockies, till the day when the mountains will part. 'Cause it's not fair that I am here while you're there.
In closing, this wonderful celebration of life for a man we knew as Steve Martin, and on behalf of the Martin family, I want to thank all of you for coming and listening to just a short bit of what and who Steve Martin was. As a benediction of the celebration of life, may we pray that Steve Martin rest in peace in the knowledge of a life well lived and a job well done. And may we all look forward to seeing him again in a place and time without end. Amen. Thank you for coming.